Welcome to Mindo in Ecuador. Hopefully you can hear me because it's pretty loud right here. So let me catch you up on where I last left off when I took the teleférico up to the top in Quito. So afterwards we did go down, have the canelazo. I found out it's actually made of aguardiente, which is the same liquor they drink in Colombia. And it's mixed with naranja, which is a type of fruit, not maracuya. So anyways, it was good. It's a warm drink, warm beverage. So I had that, went back down. I ended up hanging out with the people I met the whole day, actually. Anyways, so we went back down to the center of town, visited an artisan market. A thing I learned is, like, because one of the guys is a tour guide, he does that part of the time. So when he brings a lot of people to the shops, they buy a lot of stuff. Afterwards, you can ask for a yapa, which is like a free gift. Pretty much like, hey, I brought all these people and made you all this money, so now what do I get? I also found out on a couple side notes, learned, so a nightclub in Ecuador is not what we know as a nightclub or discoteca. It's actually where you go to get a prostitute. So don't ask for a nightclub if you come to Ecuador or Quito. I also found out that every plaza has a church, a government building, and municipalities. So something that is in common in all the plazas in Ecuador, I assume, not just Quito. Anyway, some side notes I learned along the way. So we went to that artisan market, then afterwards we walked around downtown, the center a little bit. So similar area to where I was earlier the day before, but got to see everything at nighttime. And then we went to La Ronda, which is this street with lots of restaurants, some shops and bars, also very lively. I was near there the other day, but I forgot to go, so it's cool I got to check that out. Really strange, I actually ran into someone there that I know from Colombia. So anyways, I stopped for a minute, like in the doorway of this restaurant to look at my phone, and I heard someone saying Gabby, and I was like, obviously it's not me, it's another Gabby, you know, because I don't know anyone here. Finally, after like a few times, I turned around and realized I know this girl. So it was one of the scuba instructors that I met when I was in Santa Marta in Colombia. So super random, ran into her, might hang out later, I don't know. Anyways, walked down that street and then had dinner. So I got to try a typical Ecuadorian dish called locro. It's a soup made of potatoes, it's really good. I had also tried, and the day before just bought at a shop, didn't know how typical it is, but basically the plantain chips I'd had before, but it's a snack, they'll sell that, and these other ones that are like popped corn, kind of. Anyway, it's a good snack to have. So that was pretty much the rest of that day. Yesterday I came out to Mindo, which is a little over a 2-hour bus ride from Quito. Anyways, made my way out here. And this area is really well known for its chocolate production, and I'm a big fan of chocolate, so I walked around the town a little bit. It's in the jungle, the mountains, as you can see, and did actually 2 chocolate tours in the end. So the first one got to learn more about the process and also got to try a lot of stuff. So the cacao, the actual, like how it first starts, it's a fruit. So basically we got to try the actual fruit, which is a seed and it has like a pulp on it. Kind of similar to canepas in Puerto Rico. They have that in other countries with other names, but you just like suck on the seed and the pulp and then you spit it out. The fruit's actually really good. Got to try that, learn that it takes a month from like the whole process to having a bar of chocolate. It takes about a month with drying and roasting and just the whole entire process, basically. Also learned, the place I went was Quetzal de Mindo. They've won 3 years in a row, like the best cacao in the world. So they're totally known for that, although there's other places in the area that also produce chocolate. Learned that 70% cacao and higher, if you buy chocolate, is good for you. So anything lower, I mean, you don't get the benefits of like the antioxidants and all that stuff that's good for you. 70% and better is the way to go. And the more you eat it, the more you'll get used to it and like it better. Because now I've definitely noticed like the darker the better. It's hard for me to eat milk chocolate. I don't like it as much anymore. So that was interesting. Also, one of the people on the tour had mentioned that even though like Switzerland is known for their chocolate, they're obligated to use at least 12% of the cacao from Ecuador. Like apparently Ecuador has the best cacao, even though they're not necessarily known for the chocolate. The cacao quality is like top notch. So I learned a lot about the production. The shells that once they like roast the cacao, the beans, and then they shell them, they use that for tea. So they literally use everything. Once they've gone through the whole process, they grind it out, everything. If they split that out, then you can get the cacao butter or like the cacao powder. And the cacao butter is what they use for white chocolate. They mix that with milk and sugar. So yeah, I got to learn a lot. It was really interesting. And afterwards, I did this other tour. Oh, they make all these products, even like vinegar, barbecue sauce with cacao, honey, all sorts of stuff. So we got to try everything. This brownie, that was absolutely amazing. The tea with the chocolate like shell. So got to try a lot of stuff. It was really good. Then afterwards, did this tour that's basically how they used to like start the production back in the day. And it was pretty much like a ceremony, and everyone kind of got together, did this together, was hanging out. So there was one guy playing live music, the traditional music they used to play back in the day during this whole process. So it was like hands-on. You got to roast the beans over the fire, and you mix them until they start popping like popcorn. Then after that is when you start to shell them. So you do this with your hands, just squeezing them, and the shell will come off. And they were so hot, actually, like this other guy, and I noticed myself later once he mentioned it, like kind of have some blisters on our fingers because they just came out of like the fire, were hot, and we were shelling them. Anyways, it's fine, but so we got to do that. Then we got to keep those shells again so we can use it for tea. And then once we shelled them, we basically all like mixed the beans in this thing. We ground cinnamon, because this is how they used to back in the day before sugar and everything. So we ground cinnamon in this big kind of like cast iron thing, I guess you call it. More looks like rock. And you grind the cinnamon with the beans using a brown rock, literally just rolling it in there. And then anyways, after it's all ground up, mixed together, then the guy mixed it with like boiling water and honey. And that's how they used to drink it back in the day, mixed it up. Again, before sugar and milk and all that was added. And then, so we got to drink that. Similar to hot chocolate, not totally the same. Obviously not the milk and all that to make it like creamy, but it was pretty good. So anyways, that's what I've been doing here. Today, as you can see, I've been hiking around. There's lots of waterfalls here. So I've been doing a couple trails in the park. I think there's like 6 or 7 small waterfalls, and then there's one big one on another path. So I haven't been to that one yet. This is like the last little small one. After here, I'm gonna go back, check out the big one. I think I have enough time before I head back to the town of Mindo, and going back to Quito later tonight, and the plans to go to Quilotoa tomorrow, which is like a crater with the lake that you can hike around. It has villages and stuff like that. So let me show you a little bit better the waterfall. And then the path is back that way. So anyways, you get an idea. Obviously you can see it's been raining a bunch, but I'm prepared even though I'm still kind of wet. Got my rain jacket and a rain pants. Actually lost the cover for my backpack, rain cover. Hopefully I'll find that on the way back, but we'll see what happens. So next time I talk to you guys, I should be in Quilotoa. Talk to you then. Bye.